Hi, this is in continuation to our previous video lecture where we discussed all this about modern adsorption theory, and we ended the lecture at point where we explained about promoters that enhances the activity of catalyst and these poisons that reduces the activity of a catalyst. And we said that poisons preferentially get adsorbed at the active sites of the catalyst, which due to which the reactant molecules doesn't get space to get adsorbed, right? So this is how poison reduces the activity of a catalyst by getting adsorbed preferentially at the active site of the catalyst, right? Now in this video lecture we will talk little about these active centers, free valencies of the catalyst, and then we will see how modern adsorption theory could explain some of the characteristics of the catalyst. Like we said that at the beginning, that finally divided catalyst is more efficient, right? Is more efficient compared to the big lumps or the pieces of catalyst, right? And catalyst is specific in nature, right? If it catalyzes one reaction, it may not catalyze the other reaction, right? We'll just explain all these things based on the modern adsorption theory, right? So here we'll talk about now the active centers on the catalyst, right? And when we talked about promoters, we said that promoters enhances the activity of catalyst, because what may be the reason that it increases the roughness of the catalyst, right? So more is the roughness of the catalyst, more is the free valencies. If you increase the roughness of the catalyst, it will increase the number of free valencies on which the reactant molecules get adsorbed by forming the loose bonds with the catalyst, right? So now these active centers, right, we say that more is the rough surface of the catalyst, more is the active sites on the catalyst surface, right? And the catalyst, the rough surface, more is the rough surface of the catalyst. That means we have more edges, corners and peaks in the catalyst, right? It's somewhat like this. If we try to show it in diagram, right? Right, this is the corner, right? Right, and suppose we have a crack in the catalyst surface, right? Let's say this is the crack and these are your corners, right? These are your corners, right? So these are your corners, right? This is an edge, right, that's coming up, right? And this is your crack, right? So we say a rough surface of the catalyst has more cracks, edges and corners compared to the smooth surface of the catalyst, right? And you can see that these dashed lines which represent free valencies, if you look at this edge, right, this edge which is coming just above the catalyst, above the surface of the catalyst, it's just bulging upwards, right? So this which is bulging upward has more free valencies. If you look at this dashed lines, right, this nickel atom does not have any other nickel atom in its neighbor, right, with which it can form bond, right? So it has more free valencies, right? And here adsorption may takes place. The chances of adsorption at this peak or at this edge, this is not edge, I'm sorry, this is peak, right? So the chances of adsorption at this peak is higher, right? Because this peak has a nickel atom which has more free valencies. If you look at this crack, right? Suppose this is a crack. If this represents a crack in the catalyst, right? Then if you look at this crack, there is a gap in these nickel atoms, right? So here there is one free valency. This is another free valency, right? So here also there is one valency, also another valency. So chances of adsorption would be more at this crack, right? If you look at this corner has more free valencies, right? Here also these are corners, so chances of adsorption at these corners would be high because of these free valencies, right? So peaks, corners and cracks, right, increases the active centers on the catalyst surface, because these peaks, cracks and these corners have more number of valencies, free valencies, which it can use to form loose bonds with the catalyst, with the reactants, right? And it forms loose bonds with the reactants, right? So thereby increasing the efficiency of catalyst, right? Now, in order to increase the efficiency of a catalyst, what we can do is to increase the efficiency of catalyst, since the efficiency of catalyst is due to these free valencies, right? And we say that these kind of rough surface that has more peaks, cracks and corners, they are more active. These such catalysts are more active, right, compared to the catalysts that have smooth surface, right? So if we can somehow increase these valencies, right, then the activity of the catalyst will increase, right? So how we can increase these valencies, right? So increasing, so we say the active centers can be increased. Active centers can be increased. There are two ways. First is by finally dividing the catalyst, right? And second is, finally dividing the catalyst means you will break a bigger piece into smaller pieces, right? The second is by making the surface rough. By making the surface of the catalyst rough, right? So by finally dividing we mean if this is your catalyst, right? This is your catalyst. We have bonding in nickel atoms, right? Now suppose by finally dividing I mean I break this big piece of catalyst into two small pieces. So when I will break, suppose I break it from here, right? If you break this catalyst this way, then it will generate two pieces. It will divide. I'm dividing the catalyst into two pieces, right? This is what we mean. So here, if I break this catalyst from this point, it will generate a free valency, right? So here also we have free valency. Sorry, this is here already free valency, right? So it has resulted into more free valency. This is your free valency which are generated by breaking the catalyst into smaller pieces, right? So this is how by finally dividing the catalyst, right, we generate more free valencies, and more free valencies means more adsorption of reactants onto the surface of catalyst, right? That is why we say finally divided platinum or finally divided nickel is much more efficient in the oxidation of sulfur dioxide or in the hydrogenation of vegetable oils, right? So now whenever we say finally divided catalyst, just remember what we mean by finally divided. finally divided catalyst, and why do we divide the catalyst, right? Just to increase the number of free valencies, and increasing the free valency will increase the efficiency of a catalyst, right? And the second is by making the surface rough, right? By making the surface rough, this is what we said when we said that promoters that enhances the activity of a catalyst. What promoters possibly are doing is that they make the surface of the catalyst rough, and as we explained here, if you make the surface of the catalyst rough, it will generate more corners, these kind of peaks, cracks on the catalyst, right? So thereby increasing the number of valencies, so the efficiency of the catalyst will again increase, right? So this is about your how you can increase the efficiency of a catalyst, right, by increasing the number of active centers, and these are the two ways, by dividing it, and the second is by making the surface rough, right? Now let's see efficiency of a finely divided catalyst, right? We say that how the efficiency of finely divided catalyst is explained based on the adsorption theory. I already said that when you increase the number of these valencies by finally dividing the catalyst, what you are basically doing is you are increasing the number of free valencies, right? So when the number of valencies are increased, that means more adsorption will take place, because more valencies are available to form bonds with the loose bonds with the reactants, right? So modern adsorption theory explains the efficiency of finely divided catalyst. Efficiency of finely divided catalyst, because finely divided catalyst will increase active centers, right? The second point that this explains is specificity of a catalyst. Modern adsorption theory explains the specificity of a catalyst. This means that if a catalyst can catalyze one reaction, it may not catalyze the other reaction. What could be the reason? Because we have seen that as per the modern adsorption theory, a catalyst form loose bonds with the reactant molecules, right? Now in one type of reaction, the catalyst may be reactive enough with the reactant molecules that it can form loose bonds, right? But maybe in the other type of reaction where it's not acting as a catalyst, it has no affinity for the reactant molecules, so it does not form any kind of loose bonds with the catalyst, thereby it will not catalyze that reaction, right? So specificity of catalyst is it has adsorption affinity for one type of reactants, right? It may not have affinity for the other type of reactants where it's not able to acting as a catalyst, right? And the third point that it explains is that catalyst remains unchanged at the end of the reaction, right? Third is it remains unchanged at the end of reaction. We have seen when we gone through modern adsorption theory, we studied that these reactant molecules will diffuse towards the catalyst, right? And it will form loose temporary bonds with the catalyst, right? So when it forms loose temporary bonds with the catalyst, these reactant molecules are coming close to one another, thereby there is an activated complex will get formed, right, between catalyst and the reactant molecules, right? So this activated molecule will decompose, right, to regenerate the product and to regenerate the catalyst and to form product, right? So here it was, if you remember, it was like this A and B, right, will diffuse right? Then this A and B, right, will form bond, right, like this, right? So these are now close, so these will react since A and B are less movable, right, and they are close to one another. So due to this catalytic surface, the concentration of A and B is increased, right? So now since the concentration of A and B is increased, these A and B molecules or reactant molecules will react with one another, right, and they have formed a complex, right, of this type of complex where it has formed a temporary bonds with the catalyst. So what it will do is this will break, right, to form AB, which is the product regenerating the catalyst. So catalyst is regenerated, right, and this product that gets formed, we said that this will get dissolved. This will get dissolved. By dissolving we mean it will leave the catalyst surface, thereby making room or making place for the new reactant molecules. So when this will get removed, new reactant molecules will come and again follow the same process and will form the product, right? So this is how it explained that how catalyst remains unchanged, because it's just providing a surface where it forms temporary bonds with the reactant molecules. So when these reactant molecules come close to one another, they will form this activated complex, and this activated complex has high energy. It will break to form product, right, and the reactant, and it will decompose to form product regenerating the catalyst, right? So catalyst remains as it is. It just helps to react these reactant molecules, right? The other is action of poisons. We have already done in the previous lecture. Action of poisons is how poisons, catalytic poisons, what they basically do is they reduce the efficiency of catalyst, right? What happens is, because the efficiency of a catalyst is due to these active sites, right? Onto these active sites, reactant molecules get adsorbed, right? But if you have a catalytic poison, in preference to reactants, these catalytic poisons will get adsorbed on the active sites, thereby no active site or less active sites would be available for the reactant molecules. So less active sites means the efficiency of catalyst will reduce, right? So basically these catalytic poisons will preferentially get adsorbed, right, in comparison to reactant molecules, thereby reducing the efficiency of catalyst. So fourth point says poisons. In poisons we say that for example for nickel, if you arsenic will act as a catalytic poison for nickel, because arsenic will get adsorbed on the active sites of nickel, thereby leaving no room for the reactants to get adsorbed on the active site of nickel, right? So preferential adsorption of catalytic poisons, right? Sometimes we add catalytic poisons, right, in some of the reactions. Why? Because these catalytic poisons can stop the reaction at a particular stage, right? So when we catalyze or when we do hydrogenation or reduction of acetylene, right, we add barium sulfate, right? This is your acetylene molecule, right? So when you do hydrogenation of it or reduction of acetylene, you do it in the presence of platinum, this is your catalyst, and you take barium sulfate. Barium sulfate will act as a catalytic poison, right? And since we know it's a triple bonded molecule, this is an organic reaction, so hydrogen will add on to one bond, right? So the reaction, this hydrogen, if you keep adding this hydrogen, right, this acetylene molecule, right, will get reduced to ethane molecule, right? So if you want to stop this reaction at ethene stage, right, to this stage, right, because if you continue this reaction, it will form ethane, right? So to stop the reaction at this stage, you add a catalytic poison, barium sulfate. So barium sulfate will form C2H2C, this, right? This is your ethene molecule, right? So here catalytic poison is helpful, right, to stop the reaction at this stage, right? I hope all this is clear, right? Thanks.